right, so it's my pleasure to introduce Gay Saxton from Hines Community College. Gay has been a member of their professional development team for over 20 years, and she has trained adults for over 30 years. So Gay is going to come talk to us about Hindsight 2020, putting the past behind us, and how appropriate is that for what we're doing today. So Gay, if you will come on up.
All right, so what we're going to do is look at how hindsight is 2020, the things we've learned and how we survived through a year that was crazy, I think, for all of us. So we're going to look at a couple of things. Now, first, though, I want you to really think about the lessons that you learned over the last year. Now, there's some kind of colorful little square Post-its in front of you on your table. I want everybody to get a couple of those. Write down some lessons that you learned from last year that you would love to share with the rest of us. Once you get them written down, let's just stick them up here on this chart, because we're going to look at them real quick. So everybody should have learned something valuable over the last year. So write down a lesson that you've learned. You can do a couple if you want to, but we need to stick them up here on the charts. You can do them on either one, and then we're going to talk about them quickly, okay? Now, you can do as many as you want. Up here on this chart. On either one of these charts will work. IENTF. Oh. Y'all got some good stuff up here. All right, we're going to look at these, and I'm going to try not to repeat any, and I see one I know I want to kind of save the best for last for sure, but all of them are great. So self-care is important. You got to feed your spirit, man. I like that. I was not busy before. I just thought I was. If y'all are like I was, you probably worked harder from home than you'd ever worked in your office, right? Okay, the importance of thinking outside the box. I like the box too. The importance of self-care and having a positive attitude. I don't have to be involved in everything. And slow down, for sure. Okay, patience. I see it up here a couple of times. Patience, patience, and patience, for sure. I think we all had to have that. Adjusting to whatever comes up. And a lot came up, right? So we know we can adjust. We're here. Scheduling children at home with online learning and activities to keep everyone sane. As long as I guess we stayed sane for the most part. Just how much of a disadvantage our students are with access and technology. Distant. OAE staff, innovative rebounders. Zoom is a way of life. If you're like me, you don't have to ever hear it again, but we keep using it, right? Oh, you can adjust. I think we can. All right, let's see what we have. Even with remote learning, face-to-face interaction is essential to student success. I learned about the wealth of online educational resources and the resource technology needs of my students and even the community. Okay, to adapt. It's patience again. Understanding a pop. Who wrote that one? The heck? Who wrote that? What's a pop? I must have missed it. Oh, what? Oh, okay. All right, good. Now I know. I'm going to understand it now. All right, give it to God, but He's the only one with the plan that works, for sure. Make a plan, revise as needed. It's needed. I like that because it is definitely needed. We are more adaptable than we think we are. Absolutely. Learn to relax and take time for myself. Value life even more. Family is everything and take nothing for granted. Relationships are important. To overcome, not to take life for granted. Take care of me. Learn new things, and it's fun. And relationships are important. I need to spend more time with my relationships. My house will still be messy even though I have been stuck in it for a while. Somebody must have been to my house. Patience is a virtue. Patience, compassion. Distance learning is needed in adult ed. Slow down. Presentation skills. Zoom. And this one right here. Toilet paper is the new gold. For sure. So y'all look at all the stuff we learned. Now here's the thing. We could sit back and be miserable because we lost a year or whatever. But instead, what we have to do is think about what we've learned to make us better at what we do. So that's why we're going to kind of just talk a little bit about some of the things lessons that we learned, and a lot of what I have is already up there. We're just going to talk about it a little bit more. Things that can kind of help us change our mindset. So one thing I want to remind you is this. If you fail, never give up. Fail means first attempt in learning. Never give up. The second thing is that end is not the end. In fact, END means effort never dies. So we know we've got to keep putting forth an effort to be successful. And this one's kind of my favorite one. If you get a no, someone says no for whatever, just remember that what NO really means is next opportunity. We can go again, we can try again, we can go a different way. So we've got to change our mindset and think differently about how we approach situations. I think we all probably have started doing that. It is a different way of learning, a different way of leading, and we really just kind of have to focus on the positives in order to get through it. So a couple of things that we want to talk about. We're going to focus on the things that can make us better, not bitter, because of what we've lost in time. So here we go. The first one, being forced to slow down is not a bad thing. How many of you kind of felt like you had slowed down? Okay, be honest, how many of you were only dressed decent from the waist up most days? And gosh, God forbid I had to get up during a Zoom or something. You had to get it all laid out, everything there so that you didn't have to get up and move around probably. But y'all, we have to slow down. If we have learned nothing else, we've learned that. Whenever things get bad, slow down. Take a deep breath, stop what you're doing, and just kind of readjust your mindset. You've got to do things to help you re-energize. So somebody share with us something you did to maintain that positive energy while you were at home? garden. We could go outside, okay? Some people might have prayed more, or walked around the house more, seen more that needed to get done but didn't. Started cooking. That's always a good thing. You have to cook meals. We have to re-energize, because if not, we're going to get burnt out. So it's always good. That's why we have vacations and stuff, to stop and just regenerate our energy. Now, the next thing is that technology is essential. We learned that the hard way. Virtual meetings, Zooms, Teams, whatever you used, it was essential to your contact with others. Now at Hines, we were rolling out a brand new operating system, Workday, and it was rolling out July 1 no matter what. That meant that we immediately had to flip from face-to-face training to Zoom every day, up to 13 times a day. We had to train every single employee how to do Workday. And I'm telling you, a lot of people didn't want to go with it. But to know that we had to do it, it was a challenge. But the virtual meetings, that made us stay in contact. And once people realized we could track who was on there, we had full participation. They thought just because it had a phone number or an ID number up there that they were good, they didn't have to worry about it. And don't dare try to sign in and go somewhere else, because I would call on people. You can kind of watch. Y'all know how to do it. You know how to make that work for you. But that was our contact with other people. We learned more about technology than ever before. I had absolutely no desire to have to do all of that virtual stuff, ever. But Zoom became a survival mode for us. And that's what maintained our contact with the outside world, other than going to the grocery, but not being able to see people. Zoom was our contact. Now, it also kind of helped us control responsibilities at home. I mean, how many times did you have to tell people in your house, oh, I'm on Zoom? Zooming, can't help you right now. I'm going to tell you, my husband thought I was running a bed and breakfast, okay? 3 meals a day. And every day at 11 o'clock, he'd come in, what's for lunch? I'm Zooming. And then I learned all about that recording. And if I wasn't Zooming, that recording was going, I'm Zooming. I was just scared he was going to hear me talking on it. But I was like, this is I have to use it to my benefit. And we had to. We had to be able to take a break from other things that were going on. So we know that technology is essential, and it is every day. And that was a huge jump for a lot of people to have to go completely virtual in things, and it made a difference. We had to maintain contact, though, with others, and we did, and we're here to prove that it worked. Now, the next one is that social interactions matter. I'm a personality type that has to be around people. Put me in isolation and I will go crazy. I painted my living room and my den because I was going that crazy. I had to have something to do. In between different Zooms, I was putting paint up. So we have to interact with people. Otherwise, we're just going to kind of be there. What are we contributing? We need people. We learned and we heard up here that family and friends mean everything. A lot of you, that was your only contact with people, was family and friends. So we know that means everything. And everyone needs support. We had to support each other. And when we kind of realized that other people might have had it worse than we did, then we reached out and we tried to help people. Now, I think some of you have probably heard this story, but it is so fitting for what we're talking about, how we have such a huge impact on others. And it's a story about a police officer in Louisville, Kentucky, Joe Martin. Now, Joe Martin, part of his job at the end of his shift was to collect coins from the parking meters in Louisville. And one day, Joe Martin approached a little guy, little kid crying. He's about, I think, 8 or 9 years old. And he said, "Hey, are you all right?" And the little boy said, "No, I'm not. Somebody stole my bike." And he said, "Well, do you know who stole it?" He said, "No, I don't. But when I find out, I'm going to whoop them." Well, Joe Martin said, "Do you know how to whoop them?" And the little boy said, "No, but I'm going to because my mama's going to whoop me." So Joe Martin said, "Look, I volunteer right up here at this gym. When I get off, I'm going to be up there. I want you to come up there, and I'm going to give you some pointers on how to whoop them." So the little boy said, "Okay." So he goes up there. Joe Martin immediately sees talent in this kid. And he says, "You're the greatest. You're the best I've ever seen. You're amazing at this. You are the best. Come back tomorrow. I'm going to work with you some more." The little boy goes back the next day. Joe Martin starts working with him. And he's like, "I just can't believe this has fallen in my lap. You're amazing. You're the greatest. You're the best I have ever seen." Today we know that little boy as Muhammad Ali. How many of you ever heard him say he was less than the greatest? He's always been the greatest. If you grew up in my time, that's all we ever heard, that he was the greatest. We all have the opportunity to be a Joe Martin to somebody. We've got to be sure that we're taking advantage of that opportunity, that we are letting people know how valuable they are to us. So we've got to really think about it. It doesn't just happen. Now, part of it is that we have to be enthusiastic about what we do, be it at home, in the office, on the road, wherever. We have to show a high level of enthusiasm in order for us to be sold on what we're doing. Now, I want you to write down the word enthusiasm. ENTHUSIASM. All right, now I want you to think back to grade school a little bit. And think about when you took that class where you had to divide a word between the root word and the prefix or the suffix. Y'all know what I'm talking about? And we're going to divide it between the root word and the suffix, okay? The end part. Just draw your line. And then circle your root word. All right, what's your root word? I know people are kind of scared. What is it? Enthuse. Did everybody get it? Where's the line between the S and the I? Did everybody get that? If you didn't, I'm sure you're not going to let us know right now. You're the ones that are still trying to spell enthusiasm. That's all right. I can't spell. So just a little side note, my husband's in law enforcement. And when he first started 28, 29 years ago, he can't spell. I got him one of those little electronic spellers. He couldn't even get close enough to the word for it to spell it. So I'm all about spelling. If you can spell a word more than one way, it just shows you're creative. That's how I think it works out for us. All right, so let's look at enthused. Yo, when you see somebody that is enthused, what do you see? High energy. Excitement. Charismatic. Energetic. Are they smiling? Probably. You like being around them? Some days, right? All right, if you go back to your office and you are excited, energetic, smiling, you are bouncing off the walls, you are there, you are 100% sold, they're going to probably ask you to do a drug test. Right? Because we don't see that every day. But now I want you to think about it. When you found out that you were going to have the job that you have right now, were you excited? Did any of you lay out your clothes the night before of what you were going to wear that first day? down to the earrings and the shoes, and you were like, I'm sold on this. Do you still have that level of enthusiasm today? We might have it more now than ever since we get to go somewhere. Now, let's look at the asm part of enthusiasm. What does it mean? I don't know either. Okay. I've never looked it up, so I know it means something, but I don't really know what. But here it is. To me, what the asm means in enthusiasm is I am sold myself. I am sold myself. In order to be enthusiastic, do you have to be sold on what you're doing? Absolutely. If you're not, then you're wasting a lot of your time and other people's time. We have to be sold on what we're doing. So when I was in 7th grade, when I was in 7th grade, we had junior high. We didn't have a middle school. Y'all know what I'm talking about? And junior high was 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. Is anybody with me on that? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay, and it was a whole separate school, too. Well, the year that I was in 7th grade is the year that they decided they would mix the classrooms, like your PE and home ec and the shop, all that was mixed with a group, different grades. So you had 7th, 8th, and 9th graders in there. And one of my sister that's a year older than me, was in PE with me. Now, Pam was kind of a little athletic, more so than I was. I was an excellent cheerleader, but she was real athletic, played all the sports and stuff. And back in the day, the PE teacher would pick the 2 best players and then line the rest of us up on the gym wall and let those 2 players pick teams. Anybody with me? You know what I'm talking about. And they would start picking teams. Well, now I knew that I wasn't going to be up first, or second, most likely. Now, Pam and I rode a 2-seater bicycle to school every day. That in itself was unique. And people, always want to ride our bike around the school and stuff. But we would ride every day, and Pam would always drive. And on the days that we had PE, I would say, hey, Pam, today could you just kind of pick me? I'm not saying first, but like maybe about 3rd or 4th. And every time Pam would say, girl, no, I don't want you on my team. Nothing like the love of a sister, right? And every time she'd do that, though, I'd pick my feet up off those back pedals. I thought, you're going to have to pedal me on in then, because if you're not going to pick me, I'm not helping you. But now here's what happened, though. Our PE teacher's name was Linda Hughes. Now, Linda, I just adored her. And she would tell me often, she would say, Gay, do not ever let it bother you to be last, because they always save the best for last. I learned 2 valuable lessons from Linda Hughes. One, no matter what, make people feel good about themselves. It's not hard. Joe Martin could do it. We can do it. Linda Hughes did it. Now, the second thing I learned from her is that she was an excellent liar. I knew I was far from the best, but she made me feel good about who I was and what I could do. Now, as years kind of went by, several years, probably about 20, maybe about 15 years ago, it might have even been less than that, Linda's daughter got into a little bit of trouble. Well, let's say a lot of trouble. And she's in prison for life, okay? And I kept thinking I needed to catch up with Linda Hughes and just let her know I was thinking about her, but I didn't really have any way to do it. And one day at work, they were having a conference, and this lady was walking in front of me, and she had on some killer shoes. And I said, dang, that's some good-looking shoes. And she said, oh, well, thank you. She named off where she got them, from this little store in Greenville. Well, the light bulb went off, because truly, I thought she was Linda from behind, but she wasn't. And I said, you know what? I have somebody that I just adore from Greenville that really got me into teaching. Because y'all, in 7th grade, after being in her class, I thought right then and there I wanted to teach PE and science. That was going to be it for me. And I never changed my mind from that until after I got through the first go-round. But that's what I thought. She's amazing, and I want to be able to do what she does. So I tell the lady that's who, that I just adored her. She said, "Oh, you're not going to believe this. That's my best friend. Let's call her. She needs to hear from you today." So I said, "Okay." So we go into a room, and she calls her. She says, "Linda, I have somebody that wants to talk to you." So I get on the phone with her. I tell her who I am, and she said, "Oh, yes, I remember you. I remember you well." Now, keep in mind, there were 5 of us, and she had all 5 at some point. And she said, "How are you doing?" And I told her, I said, "I just want you to know that I talk about you all the time, that you truly inspired me to do what I do." She said, "You will never know how much I needed that today." When people inspire us, when people make us do what we do and make us better for doing it, do we let them know? Are we openly telling them how much we value what they bring to us? And I have not let a day go by that I don't do that with someone, but I will also say that Linda Hughes and I communicate weekly at least. A couple of years ago, I was in Tupelo doing a class with the judges of Mississippi, and at break, I had told that story at break. A young lady came up to me and she said, "I just want you to know Linda Hughes is my aunt." And since everything happened with Carla, we've been separated. Our family has really fallen apart. But you've really made me rethink that. On my way home from Tupelo, I get a phone call, Linda Hughes. She said, "You never know who's in your audience. Today, you have mended a fence that I couldn't mend. My niece called me, and now we're going to be able to try to work things out." We never know what people are listening to, what they're picking up on. But I can assure you, after 2020, the valuable lesson is that people are listening. They are watching, and we all need to be inspired like Linda Hughes inspires me. And we've got to think about letting those people know how much they mean to us. Life is too short to be little, is what my father always said. We have to grow up, get over it, and let people know we value them. Now, the next thing is that we are stronger than we think. When we went on spring break last year, did you ever dream you wouldn't be going back for a while? Or it would be limited, or a ghost town when you did? We really probably didn't think that it would be longer than 2 weeks. And kind of, at first it was like, "Oh, good, a vacation." They kept telling us it's going to be over with in a couple of weeks. Great. Okay, then that next month came around, and we're like, "Dang, we're still here. I still haven't dusted. I think I might have to go back to work tomorrow, so I'm not going to really use all my energy in one place." But, we just kept thinking, well, I guess we're going to be here a while, and just kept rolling with it, however it happened. The thing is that we just did just that. We rolled with it. We went day to day. Now, some of us were able to go out to the office a little bit. I kind of could get myself, I'm a little skittish, in some places by myself, like a big building. And in my office now, the doors, you have to lock them with the key from the inside. They don't have the brake locks. And so I would go over there, and I would lock myself in, and I'd be the only person in there. And my mind kind of goes a little over the edge, and I kept thinking, if it's a fire, I'm going to have my keys to get out. So I would lay them right there, leave them in the door of my office. I was like, I'm going to be able to get out. And I put my purse, because I knew that was really all I needed was my purse and my keys. As long as my phone was in my purse, I was going to be good. But then I could start hearing stuff. And I thought, I don't think anybody else is in here. But I hear them. And it wouldn't be any time before I was loaded up and out. Locked back in the car, breathing easy. But the thing is that we truly found a strength that we really didn't know we had. It kind of made us a little bionic. Now, how many of y'all remember the Bionic Man? What made him bionic? Who knows? What made him bionic? You got to be my age or older to even remember him, probably. Well, remember, he had some kind of accident, and then they put Bionic Chips in him, right? And then, like, he could, in his arm, he could lift a house, and in his eye, he could see from here to Memphis, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about? And in his leg, he could run faster than a train, all that business. Okay, so it was Bionic Chips. Now, you know, back then, that was amazing to us. But then we realized they were little. It didn't take much. But now, how much was he worth? Nobody ever saw it. $6 million. Heck yeah. He was expensive, wasn't he? $6 million is how much his man was worth for little bitty chips that gave him power. Now, I have put some Bionic Chips on your table. Now, they might resemble a washer, but they're not. Everybody get one. They're just the right size. This is probably about what he had on him, in him. Powerful. Now, y'all, first I'm going to tell you these are not worth $6 million. Don't try to sell them on eBay. You will not get anything for them. All right? So does everybody have one? Now, these are custom made. Are there none on this table? There's one, and I bet you there's an extra one right here. Oh, they were looking for the $1 million. All right, does everybody have one now? All right, so here's the deal. This is your Bionic Chip, special made. It's got a hole in it. It will fit on your keychain. I have one on mine. If you don't want it on your keychain, it will go in your change purse or your pocket. I have probably 2 or 3 in my change purse. But here's the deal. Here's what Bionic means. Believe it or not, I can. Believe it or not, I can. We can do anything. We've learned that. Anything that can help us be better and help others be better. We don't have to worry about it anymore. From now on, when you start struggling with something, find your Bionic Chip. Touch it. Be reminded that you can accomplish great things. It doesn't take much, but it sure has a huge value to us and to others. So we have to realize we are so much stronger than we think. We are bionic. You now have the chip to prove it. Now, the next point is that we have to never take anything for granted. We took toilet paper for granted. Oh, it'll be some more when I go to the grocery. I'm not going to have to fight for some. And then you had to start settling for something you may not have really wanted, right? And then paper towels started even going away at the store. Everything was gone. But the thing is that we sometimes do take so much for granted, people for granted. During the last year, we took holidays, vacations, celebrations for granted. How many of you attended a drive-through something? And anytime people would say, oh, we're going to have a drive-through, I immediately thought, we're shooting up some people, right? But we had to go to whatever extreme we could to maintain some sense of being normal and of taking advantage of our celebrations. So what we have to do is really think about, what am I doing today to be sure that the lessons I've learned ensure that I am enjoying my journey every day. Now, we want to kind of look at a couple of things that can help us do just that. Now, the first thing is that we can smile more. Now, on your table, there's several things that have smiles on them. Be sure and get you something to remember to smile more, but also grab a little Sharpie. There's some Sharpies on the table. Everybody to grab one. All right, now then I want you to take your Sharpie, and I want you to draw a little smiley face on your pointer finger. Do not go over one. Pointer finger. A little smile. And then I want you to share it with the people at your table and around you. of y'all do not have a tattoo? How many no tattoos in here? You do now. This is a permanent marker. It says it right there. Permanent until hand sanitizer hits it. All right, now y'all, what happens when somebody smiles at you? You smile back. How much did it cost you? How much does it cost to smile? Unless you had a big orthodontic bill. It doesn't cost anything to smile back. It's free. And when people smile at us, we tend to smile back, and it's the same thing when we smile at others. So we know we can smile more. We need to really practice that. So I'm giving you this little Sharpie right here for a reason. This is yours to keep. Because to me, Sharpie means a heck of a lot more than good little writing pen. Sharpie means smiles have a real positive impact every day. Smiles have a real positive impact every day. Y'all, it's every encounter. When we smile at people, they're going to smile back, and a smile certainly makes people feel better. And we have to remember that, because sometimes we get so caught up in us that we forget about others. So we want to be sure that we don't take them for granted. And we definitely have to enjoy that journey. It's up to us to inspire others to get on board with us and to make sure that we're all headed in the right direction. It's really important. So we want to think about a couple of things that we can do to move people in the direction that we're in. We got to make people happy. And sometimes we don't really think that. In the past 2 weeks, I have been in employee grievances almost non-stop. And it's so hard for me, because my thing is, can you not just make people happy? Be nice to people? And it's hard, a challenge, because I want to tell the people complaining, I'm with you. You're right, but I can't. But I so want to. But the challenge is to get other people to realize, hey, that's up to us to make a difference. And we've got to do whatever we can. So we really sometimes have to push it to make people happy. Maybe sometimes it's not exactly what we want to do, but we know that happy employees are going to be more productive. When we're working with people that we make enjoy the environment they're in, it will help us in the long run. So it's up to us to do that. So I did a training class, and the supervisor came up to me afterwards and said, you know, this is all good, and I'm glad that you feel that way, but I just want you to know, work is not a place to come and have fun. I said, then I could never work with you. Because if I can't have fun, I don't want to do it. That's just it. I want to enjoy the journey every day. Now, there's a lot of different things we can do. What do you do right now to keep your employees happy? Listen. Okay, we listen. What else? What else do y'all do? Nothing? Encourage. I like encourage. All right, so I buy these things all the time. This particular box is called happiness cards. I love them. I love happiness cards. I have tons of different ones of these. But these little cards, you can get them, these came from Thimble Press. Anybody that doesn't know that, Thimble Press is in downtown Jackson, Mississippi. And they make these, and they sell them in little gift shops and stuff all the time. But I'm going to give y'all one of these each, because here's what I do. Whenever I am around people, employees, whenever I have a chance to share something with them, whenever I go out to eat, whenever I go to a drive-through, I give a card. Now, and they don't cost that much. They really don't. It doesn't take much to share just something to make somebody happy. So when I do give them out, people are like, what is this? I say, it's a card. Just want you to know. And sometimes I write a note on the back, sometimes I don't. Okay, and then I also get these little cards. I don't know if y'all have ever seen them. Anybody ever seen these? Yes. Okay, I love these. I have a bunch of them in my office because you can write on the back if you want to. This one says hope, okay? But here's what you do, like even if you just drop it off at somebody's desk, they pop it open, and there's a message in here. This one says, there's nothing we cannot live down and rise above and overcome. Wow. That's what we just did, is that we moved forward. We rose above, and we have overcome something that we didn't think we could. Y'all, truly, these cards, they really don't cost a lot. They're right there with that Bionic Chip, though. It lets people know I care about them. And that's the other meaning for that chip. Believe it or not, I care. So I can and I care. Mighty powerful things. So just think about what do you do? What can you do to make it a little different? To let people know how much you appreciate them. To be that Joe Martin for somebody. It truly doesn't take much. Now, one thing is that my mother always told us every time we left the house to go somewhere. Now, y'all remember, if you want to have a good time, you've got to take it with you. Every time. If you want to have a good time, you got to take it with you. And we just kind of took it to heart that if we wanted to have a good time, my grades in K through, well, I didn't have K, so 1 through 12 and college, the first round, showed that I had that good time. I took it with me. Okay? I failed history, American history, 3 times in college. I absolutely just could not get it. My dad couldn't believe it. Okay, come on, this is history. I said, yeah, but I mean, it's kind of boring. And even my instructor, I had the same teacher 3 times at Delta State, and he was like, what's going on here? I said, well, here's the deal. Nobody teaches it interesting to me. And so what happens is my brain is a little different. I'm going to have a good time, and I'm going to take it with me. And when you're talking about some battle or something, and then they went ashore, all I heard was shore. And my brain went to the beach. And I didn't get nothing else. Okay? I didn't like history. It just didn't do it for me. So my history teacher said, Gay, I mean, come on. So 3rd year I was in there with him, a senior in college in the freshman history class. He said, come on. You're going to be all right this time. I said, yeah, we'll see how that goes. And so about midway through the semester, the teacher's house burned down. And the grade book burned up. And he put us on the honor system. I said, oh, okay, I got you. And he said, write down what you think you had. I put an A. Now, I know I didn't have one, but I thought, well, hey, he has no way of saying if I do or don't. So he called me into his office, and he said, Gay, now I know that you didn't have an A, but anyone who sits through this 3 times deserves one. And I'm going to give you that A, and I don't ever want to see you back in here again. So I got out of history. I did not burn his house down. I promise. But, you know, it's just kind of different things click with different people. And the thing is that if people do things because that's what helps them have a good time, there's nothing wrong with it. We just sometimes have to be a little patient with them. So we want to be sure, though, that we're doing whatever we can to really help others enjoy their journey, because we have a lot of power and ability to do that. When you think about who you work with on a daily basis, how important is it to make sure that they're enjoying their journey? So we want to kind of think about, what do we do? Do we buy a little box of cards for $5 and just drop one off here or there? If it makes a difference to one, we've been successful. So we really have to think about what we're doing to help others enjoy that journey. So I'm going to close with a little story about my family. And some of you have probably, if you've been in a class of mine, you may have heard this before. But like I said, there were 5 children in my family. My mother had 5 children in 6 years. and there are no duplicates. She probably says, thank goodness. Okay, so we were always real close, and we still are today. We have maintained that always. And, my parents always instilled in us this whole atmosphere of just enjoy what you're doing and enjoy the ones around you. Now, when I was growing up and living at home, every Saturday night of my life, every Saturday really was family day or family night. And no matter what else we had going on, we had to do something as a family. If we had a date, they could come and do family night, and then we could go out however it worked out. But we were committed to family night. We might have played a game, gone bowling, went swimming, something, but it was family night. And it really didn't ever bother us. That was okay. We loved each other. But then our friends were like, hey, what are y'all doing on family night this week? And people wanted to start coming to family night. And that's the first time I think I realized not everybody had what I had. And so the more the merrier, come on. So they just always wanted to be sure that we enjoyed our journey. And they made it one that was enjoyable the whole time we were at home. Now, 17 years ago, it was the end of January, and it was the coldest day of the year. And my parents had gone to my brother's house. There's one boy and 4 girls. And my parents had gone to my brother's house in Nashville. And my oldest sister that lives across the railroad tracks from my mother and daddy called me about midnight and said, Gay, Mama and Daddy's house is on fire. I said, ooh, good thing they were gone. And she said, yeah, because it's going to be a total loss. Well, she said that she called my brother's house whenever the house was on fire, and they just found out. She calls my brother's house and says, hey, wake up Mom and Daddy. Their house is on fire. So he gets them, and she said the first thing my dad said when he got to the phone was, tell them to be careful. I don't want anybody hurt. There's a full basement under that house, and I don't want them hurt. And plus, I just bought 2 5-pound bags of gunpowder, and I don't want anybody hurt. Well, the house was about a 3,800 square foot farmhouse. It was gone from front to back in less than an hour. The little fire trucks, volunteer fire trucks that came were either frozen when they got there, or the water froze before it could hit the flames. It was that cold. So everything they had was gone. They had been married 49 years. My mother had every bean art, wedding dress, prom dress, diploma, everything of all of ours was in that house. And it was all gone. Well, we were just kind of, didn't know, I went up, and they live in the big town of Oakland, Mississippi. It's huge. Y'all know, some of you might have seen the sign. So I go up there, and the 4 girls, we were there waiting on my parents to get back. And, of course, our conversations were, ooh, who's going to get Mom and Daddy? What are we going to do with them? Where are they going to go? We got to do something with them. Well, they had already had a plan. They made their plan up on their way back. And they had decided that they were going to rent this little 2-bedroom house in town that was available and furnished. And so they were going to be all right. But when they got there and they drove up, and my dad gets out and he looks at where their house had been. And he says, it really burned. We're like, yep, it did. He said, but you know what? It's a great thing that we were out of town, because we've got our 3 best outfits and our teeth. We're like, yeah. And he says, we would have never gotten out with our teeth. Well, the truth of the matter is they would have not gotten out from where the location of the fire was and where their room was. They would have never gotten out had they been there. But y'all, they had lost all of their possessions, and he was thankful for 3 outfits and teeth. So many times we've overlooked the little things to be thankful for and looked more at what we've lost. We can't get it back. So we've got to maintain that level of thankfulness every day. Now, fast forward 7 months from the day the house burned. It was Labor Day. And my dad got up, and he told my mother, I feel kind of funny. He had a massive heart attack and was gone. He had had a physical the Friday before and was in excellent health for a 66-year-old man, and had a massive heart attack 3 days later. We were devastated. We couldn't think, how in the world could this happen? They were 2 weeks away from moving in their new house. How could he possibly be gone? My grandfather lived to be 98. And you know, that's what we assumed, that our parents will be as old as their parents. He was gone. And there was really not a whole lot of answers to us. It was just like, why? How could this happen? And the night of his visitation is when it all really clicked to me, what he had taught us all our lives. As we were standing there greeting people that would come through, it would be people I had never seen in my life. And they would say something like, hey, I drove the lumber truck that dropped the lumber for that house your dad's building, and I just had to come by and let y'all know how amazing he was to us. He helped us. He appreciated what we were doing. He was just so nice and so helpful. The next people, hey, we poured the concrete for the foundation for that house your dad's building. And we just had to let you know that he really was a great guy. He really was helpful to us. He was so appreciative for what we were doing. By the end of the night, every person that had anything to do with helping with that house came through that line. And that's when it really clicked with me. You know, it doesn't matter how I feel every day. It really doesn't matter what I'm going through every day. But what matters most is how I make others feel every day. In the end, that's where I can make the biggest difference. That's where we can make the biggest difference. And that's where we have the biggest opportunity. Maybe it's a box of $5 cards. Maybe it's a pat on the back or just a smile. But it doesn't take much to make that difference. So what we have to do is enjoy our journey and be sure that others are enjoying theirs. And it's up to us to cultivate happiness. We have to be the difference to someone else. Y'all, thank you for letting me be here. Always a pleasure. And I hope for y'all to have great things, and be sure that you're enjoying the road, because we're only coming this way one time. So thank y'all so much.